Good afternoon. My name is Jenny McFerrin. I've been a part of the Literacy Collaborative as a classroom teacher, building literacy coach, and I am currently a K-2 trainer. As a trainer, I am responsible for training other building literacy coaches. I also provide professional development for classroom teachers and administrators. During the session this afternoon, I will provide you with information about the Literacy Collaborative and provide you with an overview of the Literacy Collaborative framework for teaching and learning for grades K through 2. Gay Sue Pinnell said that investigating in the development of excellent teachers is the best preparation for our children's future. Professional development at Literacy Collaborative goes beyond initial training. Professional development is ongoing, research-based, and grounded in the needs of the schools that are affiliated with us. So what is a Literacy Collaborative school? Literacy Collaborative is a comprehensive model designed to provide a school-wide approach for improving the reading and writing achievement of all students. Literacy Collaborative is grounded in 10 essential design elements. Number 1, a school-based literacy team. The school-based literacy team is comprised of the literacy coach, the principal, and representatives from each grade level. This team works together to ensure effective implementation. The literacy coach provides professional development for the staff, as well as coaching sessions for classroom teachers. The literacy coach attends ongoing professional development here at The Ohio State University. Number 3, initial and ongoing professional development for teachers and literacy coaches. Number 4, in-classroom coaching for literacy teachers. Number 5, research-based classroom instructional practices. Number 6, systematic assessment that informs instruction. Number 7, materials to support the implementation. Number 8, school and home partnership. 9, multiple levels of intervention to support differentiated classroom instruction. And number 10, research on student achievement and implementation. Literacy Collaborative's effects on teaching and student learning is a federally funded value-added study. This study was achieved through a federal grant from the Institute of Education Sciences and was received by Dr. Anthony Breich, the president of the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. This study measured the value-added effects of the Literacy Collaborative on student learning and achievement in grades K through 2. Growth of teacher expertise and changes in professional communication networks in Literacy Collaborative schools were also measured. This study took place over a span of 4 years. Year 1 was our baseline year because the literacy coordinators were in training. Years 2 through 4 were the implementation years. There were 17 schools across 8 states that participated in this research project. 40% of the students across states were low income. Literacy coordinators, classroom teachers, and students participated. Currently, this is the largest data set about coaching and student learning in the education field, and the only one to include data on student achievement, teacher expertise, and the frequency and quality of coaching. Fall and spring dibbles were collected. Terra Nova, classroom observations of the teachers teaching the Literacy Collaborative literacy block in elements such as guided reading, writing workshop, and interactive writing. There were also teacher surveys that were collected, interviews with literacy coordinators, and logs of professional development and coaching. Here are the results. Comparing the 3 implementation years to the baseline year, it was found that the average rate of student literacy learning increased by 18% in the first implementation year, 29% in the second year, and 38% in the third year. These were very substantial increases. So, if they were learning 1 year's worth of growth in the baseline year, students were learning 1.38 years worth of growth in the third implementation year. The results also showed growth in teacher expertise. Teacher expertise was measured on a scale that ranged from teaching literacy as a set of instructional routines to teaching by facilitating student talk to deepen thinking and understanding. The strongest factor that predicted growth in teacher expertise was the amount of coaching a teacher received from the school's literacy coach. In addition, there was great result in the amount of communication that took place within a building. For example, this graphic shows the changes over 3 years in professional communication that were reported in one school. In 2005, which is the graph on the left, most teachers only communicated within their grade level teams. The literacy coach was not a central part of the network. In the graphic on the right, you can see that in 2008 there was substantially more across grade level teacher communication, and the literacy coach had become central in the communication network. When implemented with Fidelity and Integrity, schools will see results. Schools that implement according to the standards are registered as Literacy Collaborative Schools and are affiliated with an improved Literacy Collaborative Training Center. Adherence to these standards is essential to maintaining a high-quality implementation that results in improved student outcomes and literacy achievement. From Common Core to Response to Intervention, Literacy Collaborative provides a structure that supports high achievement for children. Our framework for teaching and learning provides opportunities for differentiated instruction to whole class, small groups, and individuals. LLI and Reading Recovery are strongly recommended to provide support for students in Tier 2. In all tiers, the use of data to inform instruction is essential. Now we will look at the framework for teaching and learning. One way to understand our framework for teaching and learning is through this graphic. The gray area surrounding the circle represents the factors that influence instruction. Letters, words, and how they work are embedded across reading and writing instruction. We are teaching children about words and how they work through reading and writing. Extensions and themes are the content areas that influence what is read and written whole group. Documentation of progress influences the amount of teacher support needed to teach. Finally, communication with home and community are essential for supporting children and the implementation process. This graphic illustrates the reciprocity between reading and writing. We use reading to teach writing. We use writing to teach reading. Since Literacy Collaborative extends beyond grade 2, we can also look at the framework for teaching and learning in a workshop format. Let's take a closer look at each of the elements that make up our framework for teaching and learning. Language and word study. The language and word study part of our framework includes interactive read aloud, shared reading, interactive writing, and phonics spelling and word study. If you look at the graphic on the right, you'll see that these elements comprise the top part of the circle with the highest form of teacher support. Interactive read aloud. The purpose of interactive read aloud is to provide a context where students can engage and talk about age-appropriate, grade-appropriate reading materials. These materials are chosen by the teacher and should extend students' thinking and their ability to talk about texts. The interactive read aloud is the place during the framework that you can not only differentiate instruction, but you can provide opportunities for learning across content areas. Let's look at a few more points about interactive read aloud. Interactive read aloud provides an opportunity for students and teachers to create a true learning community. Talk around text allows teachers to engage students in thinking and talking about excellent age-appropriate texts. Students are able to develop an academic vocabulary, and students are invited to reflect on the meaning they took from the text. If you want to think about the way Literacy Collaborative is connected to Common Core in this way, we can look at the framework and those elements of Common Core that can be taught. So for interactive read aloud, those standards of Common Core that are supported during this instructional context are reading literature, reading informational text, speaking and listening. Shared reading. Shared reading involves students participating in reading a common text with the group. The purpose is to support children in processing print and continuous text. Children are able to work in a group, use their voice to interpret the meaning of the text, build fluency, and work with words. The Common Core is supported through this instructional context in the standards reading literature, reading informational text, reading foundational skills, speaking and listening, and language. Interactive writing is the context where teachers can teach children the writing process. Not only do children thrive as writers, but they are also taught to write in multiple genres, including writing about reading. Through the construction of the text, teachers can focus instruction on phonics and spelling, as well as handwriting. In connecting to Common Core, we can teach the Common Core standards through interactive writing in the areas of writing, speaking and listening, language, reading literature, and reading informational text. Phonics spelling and word study embraces a multifaceted approach to teaching children about words and how they work. Through assessment, we can determine the developmental spelling stages in a class of students. From here, explicit instruction can be designed. As the teacher teaches during shared reading and interactive writing, phonics and spelling are applied to meaningful and authentic reading and writing. Now let's look at Reading Workshop. For primary, Reading Workshop includes Managed Independent Learning and Guided Reading. This is an example of a workboard that is utilized during Managed Independent Learning. The essential components of Managed Independent Learning are as follows. Children are grouped heterogeneously. Children are introduced to new centers one at a time, allowing the teacher to teach routines and expectations. Children work independently with partners or in small groups on literacy-based learning opportunities. While children are engaged in these literacy-based learning opportunities, teachers are able to pull small groups of children reading at about the same level to teach guided reading. This is what a transition would look like for kindergarten and first grade and second grade students as they move into third grade and beyond. In kindergarten and first grade, our children would be engaged in managed independent learning in a workboard, much like you saw earlier. In second grade, however, a change begins to happen. Our readers and writers are able to sustain their reading for longer periods of time. Because of that, we can begin to take many of the icons and many of the learning opportunities off the workboard to allow children to have longer periods of reading and writing. In third grade, children engaged in a reading workshop would be expected to be engaged in reading and writing for the entire reading workshop block. When children are able to work independently, and we have supported children in that work, we can pull small groups of children that are reading at about the same level and have guided reading. Guided reading is a highly effective form of small group instruction. Based on assessment, the teacher brings together a group of readers who are similar enough in their reading that they can be taught together. During guided reading, we are teaching children to be strategic thinkers and problem solvers as they work through text. Some more points about guided reading are that a teacher works with a small group, no more than 4 to 6 students. The readers have similar needs. Each reader reads the entire text while the teacher listens in and supports them. This support looks like word solving, fluency, and comprehension. A few more points about guided reading. Guided reading provides an opportunity for students to be thinking within, beyond, and about the text before they read, while they read, and after they read. The texts increase in difficulty over time, and readers are regrouped based on observation and assessment. So how does guided reading match with Common Core state standards? Through guided reading, the following standards are addressed: reading foundational skills, reading literature, reading informational text, speaking and listening, writing, and language. Writing workshop. Writing workshop consists of 3 parts: the mini lesson, a time to write, and sharing. During the time to write, the teacher has the flexibility to work one-on-one with students in an individual conference. The teacher also has the option to pull a small group of students and write together, or pull a small group of students that are working at about the same level. Let's look more closely at each part of the writing workshop. First of all, writing workshop begins with a writing mini lesson. These mini lessons are brief and concise. They focus on what writers do. They call attention to the craft of writing. We use mentor text to model the use of craft. Writers are expected to apply their new learning to their own writing pieces. It's a time and place to teach writers how to better their writing. During the independent writing and conferring time, children have a chance to apply what they've learned in the mini lesson. They're able to write across a variety of genres, and they have an opportunity to meet with the teacher, so the teacher can support them as writers. The sharing time is just as important as a mini lesson and the conference time. During the sharing, the teacher has an opportunity to teach again and reinforce what was done in the mini lesson. It's also a time to celebrate and build this community of writers. During writing workshop, the following standards for Common Core are met: speaking and listening, writing, and language. Here at Literacy Collaborative, we promote not only the teaching and learning of children, but the teaching and learning of adults. Through professional development and continued support, we ensure strong implementation and success for all children, teachers, and communities. This is contact information should you have any additional questions about our project. Thank you for joining us in this informational session today.